Hi friends! Today's story is called Growing Trees, written by Judith Bauer Stamper, illustrated by Wesley Lowe. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. It all began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and dad. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. We took a hike with a forester, an expert on taking care of trees in the wild. The forester showed us small, young trees and big, old trees that were like towering giants. Then he explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts out with a seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes it germinate and begin to grow. The seed sprouts a small little roots that grow down into the ground. The root absorbs water and minerals from the soil. Next, a small stem pushes up out of the ground and grows 2 tiny seed leaves. The leaves are used for sunlight to give the tree. The leaves use sunlight to give the tree energy to grow. A new growth called a shoot appears at the tip of the stem. Larger leaves grow from the shoot. The seedling is on its way to becoming a tree. The young tree keeps growing if it gets enough water and sunlight to survive. In its next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon, the tree has branches, a woody trunk, bark, and lots of leaves. There's the branches, the woody bark, a trunk, and lots of leaves. Each year, the tree grows taller and taller. Its trunk gets wider and wider. A forester can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings. A tree trunk has 1 ring for each year it has been alive. This tree was more than 100 years old. A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer, a tool that takes out a small part of the tree without hurting it. After our trip to the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. Dad took me to a nursery where you can buy flowers, shrubs, and trees. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or plant in a new place. The nursery worker showed me trees that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer. We looked at trees with soft leaves and trees with pine needles. I chose a maple tree. My tree was already more than 4 feet high, just a little taller than me. Then, the nursery worker helped us choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. Then she went over instructions on how to plant my tree. I picked out a place in our backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole with a shovel. The hole was as deep as the tree's root ball and about 3 times as wide. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened the burlap bag around the roots. Next, we filled in the soil around the tree, and I added the organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled mulch on top. Then I gave my tree a nice drink of water. Dad asked an arborist to check the other trees in our yard. An arborist is like a doctor for trees. She pruned the branches of our big trees with pruning shears. She checked all the trees for signs of disease. She also listened for bugs using a stethoscope. She's like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged in a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off 2 broken limbs. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said it was doing just fine. She added a stake to help it grow up straight. When the weather turned cold, my tree's green leaves turned bright red, and then they twirled down to the ground. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the summer, it grew branches with more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. This is a leaf from my red maple tree. It has 3 lobes that have saw-tooth edges. The bark is dark and gray and rough with little edges. All summer, I watered my tree and checked it for insects. It just kept growing. The arborist said that my tree could grow 60 feet high. That's taller than my house. Look at my tree now. It's much taller than I am. If I take good care of it, it will be around for a long, long time. A tree is a great friend to grow up with. You can plant a tree too. Which tree would you choose? Would you choose an oak tree, a palm tree, a pine tree, a weeping willow, a Japanese maple, or a sweet cherry tree? And that is the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed reading Growing Trees with me. Bye.